Alright, Shalom. It's your brother Samad coming to you with another lesson. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, and double honors to our elders and our apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Alright, so in transit, I'm just finishing up work. Head back to base, but something that was on my spirit was about sticking to the basics, y'all, and keeping it simple. And this is going to be more so for a lot of you younger brothers in this truth that are, just coming up, doing your lessons. You might have just joined the camp, or even brothers that are still fairly young and doing the work, less than 10 years. Let a lot of the things that you see going on in the world of Israel, let a lot of these things be an example, right, to yourself. You see, if there's one thing that you can take away from the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, is that they're consistent. They're consistent, and they keep it simple. And even amongst the elders and apostles, they're very learned men, right? Very well studied, and they have decades of experience under their belt. And even with that experience, right, those decades, you'll notice that they've been consistent. They've been fairly consistent. Very few changes in doctrine. Obviously some things, you get enlightened and learn, but for the most part, all right, their doctrine has been consistent. And the reason why it's been able to be consistent and it's been able to, stand the test of time is because it's simple. That's the key. It's simple. It's so simple that it's difficult to the average person, because most people can't understand simple concepts and information. Why? Because everyone's trying too hard. Everyone wants to do too much. So when you look at the world of Israel today, all right, look what happened with Genesis Israelites coming out now, all of a sudden saying all nations can be saved. Just such a simple precept, simple understanding. And that's a whole lesson within itself. But just the simple understanding that salvation is for Israel, because Israel is the only nation that's in need of salvation. These other nations don't need salvation. They have their lands. They're not under curses. They're not scattered and destroyed. So what do they need salvation from? Right? Simple concepts that these people stumble over. Why? Because ultimately the Spirit's not in them. And a lot of these guys, they're trying to make a name for themselves. That's really what it is. You got all these new doctrines. You ever notice all the people that fall away, especially that came from Great Millstone, they fall away to all these diverse doctrines and wild teachings. It's completely outlandish stuff, man. That just, it really you don't even know where to start to kind of try to back it up scripturally. But all these guys are trying to do is they're trying to make a name for themselves, because it's an ego thing, man. I get it, I get it as a man, you want glory, you want status, and you want notoriety, but this ain't the time for that, man. This ain't the time for that. Yahweh Shai is going to come back, and he's going to give us the right, under the order of his Father. Right? He's going to come back, and he's going to give us power. He's going to give us fame. He's going to give us glory, right, in the world to come. But in this world, it's not for us, man. So you got these guys, they're trying to become a household name within the nation of Israel. They want to be well known. They want all the subscribers and the following, and they want riches. But you know what? The Most High allows these people to fall into their own devices, because at the end of the day, their spirit, they're not kingdom minded, man. So for you younger brothers, if you want to be kingdom minded, you have to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, man. Like the brother Ariel used to always say. He said, Jake always want to be too deep and never want to be one deep. You know, they always want to be too deep, man. Like, yo, it's not that simple. I mean, it's like it's not that difficult, man. It's really not that difficult. Keep your walk simple, man. Because the simpler your walk, the easier it is for you to maintain. The easier it is for you to endure. When you start trying to add all these new things to your plate, doctrines, and then you have to come up with, you know, when questions arise, and then you got to come up with explanations for it. This is too much, man. Just ultimately, stick to what you were taught, man. Especially with what you were taught is sound doctrine. What's the point of trying to find loopholes and trying to go deep and trying to come up with new understanding and new breakdowns? Like, for what? And a lot of this stuff, man, it's not even conducive to salvation, man. It's really, like I said, Jake just trying to flex, man, trying to please men. Most High ain't dealing with man pleasers. There's no humility in that. You should want to just fly low, man. Fly under the radar, not be too known. And if there's one thing I could say about anime, right? There's few anime that I watch, right? And sometimes it annoys me, but the more mature I get, the more I start to grow more fondly towards characters, like main characters, that hide their true power. That Clark Kent, you know what I mean? Where they act, you know, to an extent it annoys me because it's like, yo, you ain't got to be a cornball about it. But, you know, I like a guy who hides his true power. You know, he doesn't try to come off as the most powerful, as the most intelligent. You know what I mean? He's humble. He knows what he knows. When it's necessary for him to show what he needs to show, he shows just what he needs to show, and doesn't do too much. All right, he doesn't do any more than he needs to. But, you know, I like to say one of my mottos is I'm always doing enough but never doing too much. And depending on the context, depends on the context. When it comes to work, I'm always doing enough to do a good job, but I'm never doing too much. Because at the end of the day, these jobs will replace you in a heartbeat, man. And the most you're going to get is the attaboy. So, when it comes to the Lord, it means a little different. Right? Never doing too much, meaning I'm not over here trying to overextend myself and trying to appear to be this super intelligent and deep prophet. You watch my lessons. Look at my lessons. I keep my lessons simple. My lessons are admonishment, encouragement, and Lord willing edification. Every so often I'm out dabbling into some prophecy. Every so often I'll dabble into some current events. But for the most part, I keep it simple. Why? Because, you know, that's just my lot. That's my spirit. You know, like I said, always doing enough, never doing too much, man. So when it comes to the Lord, obviously we know we can never do enough. But when I say doing enough, I'm always doing my best. You know what I mean? But I'm never doing too much to the point where I'm faking. I'm trying to fake the funk. I'm trying to be something I'm not. I'm trying to be somebody I'm not. If I don't know, I don't know. You know, if I learned this doctrine, I learned these teachings, and it's sound doctrine. So what is the need to sit here and try to change sound doctrine to come up with some new profound prophecy? You know what I mean? For what? Most of the time, like I said, most of the time I don't even help you for salvation. So, the scriptures say that you need to first be weaned from the breast, right? From the milk, before you can go ahead and try to swallow strong meat. And a lot of you brothers really just need to just stick with the milk, man. Milk is enough. If you really want to be technical, the milk is enough to thrive in this truth. The milk is enough to receive salvation. Now, I'm not saying you can't dabble in strong meat, but at the same time, it's not always beneficial for you to eat meat, I should say. And you ain't always gotta go for an 18-ounce ribeye. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might have to start with a little 4-ounce sirloin. You know what I mean? And work your way up. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys want to go straight from milk to a fucking tomahawk steak, man. Thinking they're gonna do something. You're not. You're gonna get choked, man. You're gonna choke. You haven't been weaned yet. All right. You haven't started with soft foods and built your way up. You know what I mean? To be able to chew and digest the strong meat. All right. And it's metaphorically for you people who don't understand. The milk going into the simple understanding of the scriptures, and the meat going into the more dark sayings and deep prophecies like Daniel, Revelation, Ezekiel, etc., Jeremiah, Joel. You know what I mean? So, and again, you're going to get to the point where you are going to eat strong meat. You are going to eat meat, but there's some meats that are tougher than others. So you also have to have the humility to understand that what your lane is what your lane is, and what your lot is. There's a difference between having a general understanding of a prophecy and a topic, and then actually being qualified to teach and break it down on a high level. So, just keep it simple, yo. It's really that's as simply as I can put it. You know, just keep your walk simple. Understand that the milk is enough, Jacob. The milk is enough to get you salvation. And I'm not saying don't ever attempt or don't ever try to go and get into deeper prophecies. You'll always be wanting to grow, but understand that master the basics. Once you master the basics, then you can start to slowly branch off into other things. And then you master one thing at a time. You'll master one prophecy. And once you got all the information and all the precepts and and once you understand this prophecy to the point where you can break it down into where a 3-year-old could understand, you can break it down to simple terms in your own words, then you're ready to move on to the next thing. But a lot of y'all ain't even really ain't mastered the milk yet, the simple, the basics. And then y'all want to go into all these allegories and dark sayings. And come on, man. That's why a lot of these guys, they gonna fall out the truth, man. They ain't gonna endure it. Why? Because they overextending themselves. You hear it is, we're running a marathon, and you people are sprinting, hot jumping straight out the gate. People going gas out within 5-10 minutes, man. When this marathon is like 4 or 5 hours, man. And that's just, you know, I'm plainly speaking here. If any of you ever ran a marathon or been a part of a long distance run, you know what I mean. So that's pretty much the point. Keep it simple. All right, master the basics before trying to move on to more complex topics. And then don't even sit here and try to break down and make lessons on it until you fully mastered it and comprehended it. So again, Lord willing, this video is edifying. Till next time, shalom.